Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Creative Clinic. My name is Kia Fullerton, and I'm your host for today's photography session, delivered to you by Realistic Studios. So today's photography masterclass will be delivered by photographer Zek Snaps. Thank you for joining me today.
Yes. Thank you for having me here.
No
It's
worries.
an absolute pleasure.
This will run between 12 and 2 p.m., followed by a break at 2:30 with a well-being and panel discussion with photographers Zek Snaps, Esther Keat, and Chuck Noble. Before we kickstart today's session, just a few house rules. Nothing too serious, don't worry. We just want you to stay engaged, have fun, and if you have any questions, just let us know in the group chat. So yes, hey Zek, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, fresh new week.
Yes.
We'll go with it.
So for those who don't know you, can you just tell us about yourself and your photography?
Cool. So obviously, I go by the name of Zek, aka Zek Snaps. I'm a born and raised British Middle Eastern photographer from a country called Iraq. Obviously, I was born and raised in East London. Now I live in the northwest side of London now. I'm by trade a music, commercial, fashion photographer. I also graduated in BA Film Studies as a set designer / art director. I also do time to time set assistant directing. I also have my very own podcast, which is called Zek Chats. So for those who don't know what it is, Zek Chats is one of the most unique creatives podcast hosted by myself and Listen Up London, which is my agency, which discusses with major creatives all over the UK about championing themselves to be who they are, what type of legacy they're leaving behind in terms of cultivating the next generation of great creatives, but as well really honing themselves and really letting people know about the mental side of things within the creative industry, because I don't think a lot of people really get to see that other side of the creative industry. And as well as just really trying to give back to a community, because I feel like everyone I get on there is like a superhero of that industry. So the people that you don't really see throughout the radar. So that's what it's about. And for myself, that's who I am as a creative.
So how did you get into photography then?
Wow, this is crazy. First, I was originally into the world of film. So my inspiration came from like the likes of Salvador Dali. For those who don't know who Salvador Dali is, he is a surreal portrait artist born and raised in France. He basically came with the theory of surrealism. Surrealism definition is a fantasy and you're living in a parallel world towards your opposite. So he brought that and connoted it in many ways throughout his art, but as well as short films. So a lot of people don't know that Salvador Dali actually done a lot of films. So his films actually gave a lot of birth and inspiration to the likes of Alfred Hitchcock, David Lynch, Martin Scorsese, Quentin, and other successful directors within the Hollywood industry. So I look at that as an example and take inspiration, because Salvador Dali is someone I correlate my style of photography towards, with the abstract colors, the way he just brings like these surreal factors into his way of cinematography and portrays his art. I feel like it relates to my world as well, because I live in my own dimension as well from time to time. And I feel like every human being lives in a surreal world where they imagine things out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Amazing. And I know you have a show reel that you like to show us.
Yes.
Starting with Headie One, of course.
I mean, this was this year. This was for the video shoot Parlez-vous Anglais. Not bad French, I must say. So this was featuring Aitch. So amazing shoot. I've met Headie like numerous times. I got to work with him 3 years ago alongside RV, and I've known Headie's team for quite long now. So I've got to give a massive shout out to Headie. I've got to shout out Tia as well from Relentless Records, because she called me up last minute. She's like, I've got 2 video shoots for Headie. I want you to pass through. So I've done this, which is the Parlez-vous Anglais shoot with Aitch. I love the settings. It was at the Resonance Hotel in King's Cross. Very like French, vibrant 60s style settings. Big up Casey as well, who directed this. He's a mastermind when it comes to directing videos. And I like the way he brought the set designing style into it. It really suited what I was going for. So in terms of like this little dreamy aspect, vibrant effects with the little glares and flares.
Yeah. Nice.
So I thought, why not? Let me try something new. So yeah, man, this was one of my favorite shoots of 2020 as well.
And I think up next,
Oh, the man, the man himself. Yeah, so this was 2018. I mean, Hus is one of the best people to ever shoot. He's just such a character. He's very himself. I think what I liked about him is his creative input.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think for someone like him he would come through, but at the same time, you kind of can relate it because he's a musical genius and he's seen as one of the golden childs of our generation in music alongside Stormzy and Dave, I would say. So Hus is at the pinnacle point where he's one of those, as I said, the three golden childs of our scene.
Yeah.
He's put off a lot of great vibes with his music, really interconnected with generations of different audiences, but as well really becoming one of the forefathers of Afro swing. And for me, I've worked with Hus even before this in 2016, so I had the opportunity to shoot him for Guap magazine for their front cover. This is when I think he just came out as well. So shout out to Guap as well for making the connections happen, and shout out to Hus's team, so like Patrick, the 2K management guys, Mo and Kilo, and everyone else within his team that really gave me the opportunity to really bring stuff happen. And even shout out to fellow photographer Kate Abraham. He brought this creative style and his input into this, and we brought it together into life. So shout out Kay, man.
Yeah. All the shout outs have to, very important. Thank you. I know we've got a lot to go through. So would you like to start off the masterclass then?
Yeah, sure.
So the first one is camera options.
Cool. Cool. So with a camera, simple. I think there's three major things people really need to understand is your shutter speed, your aperture, and as well your ISO. So shutter speed basically means the higher the shutter, the more stabilized your image will look. But however, it would add less exposure to the image. Aperture is key because I feel like a lot of people don't really understand the logics behind aperture. You have shallow depth of field, which is like a less crispier styled look of depth within a photo, how you take it. And how should I say, you've got shallow depth of field and you've got different styles of depth of field. So like you can have a macro depth of field where, example, let's just say you have, I don't know, let's just say a 50 millimeter, oh, sorry, not even a 50 millimeter, a 60 millimeter 2.0 lens.
Yeah.
Obviously with prime lenses, so for those who don't know what prime lenses is, prime lenses are basically lenses that stay within the same focal length. So 50 millimeters, 24 millimeters, they usually have the best aperture and the best scenarios of letting more light into the camera. So for example, if I have a 60 millimeter with a macro feature, I can basically take a photo of this and then that will be the main focus, and then everything out of the background will be out of focus, which is a thing called bokeh. So bokeh is basically a thing where it creates like a distorted look for the background to be distorted and the main objects in focus. So that's more of a, not even a shallow depth of field. I forgot what depth of field that's called again, but yeah, it's related to that. So that's for people who like their close portraiture style photography or macro photography. That relates heavy to the sense of aperture, because I feel like a lot of people don't really understand aperture as finest, because I feel like aperture gets overlooked at many things at first. And another one is ISO, which is basically your lighting. Yeah. So ISO is the more higher ISO you go, the more lighting you add to your camera. But however, depending on the camera lens, the more you go higher with your ISO, you're going to have more noise on your photo. This is the problem where it depends on your location, where you are, what type of equipment you have, but as well as understanding the surroundings you're around. So you could be in a small venue as a music photographer, but for example, if you just have a 50 millimeter 1.8 lens, you might have some decency with getting good photos in that venue. Okay. But at the same time, when you go through post-production and you take portraits or whatsoever of the artist live on set, and you go through your edits, you will see later on noises can be seen. So it does become a sense of really being stressful to an editor, but at the same time, a photographer really needs to understand those three main functions in order to make sure a good camera can be used to its fullest function. And I always say, it does not matter about the camera, it's about the lenses. Lenses are key. So, as I said, I've spoken about prime lenses. And there's zoom lenses, of course. Usually with zoom lenses, you have more options with the focal length, and you have better. But however, with zoom lenses, the apertures vary and it goes higher than a normal prime lens does. So you've got to be wary with what type of lenses you use. Usually for me, the best setup, obviously depends on your budget. I usually go for a 50mm 1.8. You can't go wrong with that. That is about 90 to 120 pound. It's one of the best starting lenses to ever have as a kit. A 24-70, I think, is an amazing lens. However, prices with that varies. It's the best go-to zoom lens, especially the 2.8 aperture one. It's amazing. You can basically capture anything with that, and I feel like it's one of the most used lenses in today's photography industry. I would say there's other lenses that are quite good. 35mm is another one which I think is amazing for portraits, and some for wide lenses, for wide shots. I like to use a 24mm. I think 24 is just, you get that nice depth. And sometimes you can go out your comfort zone. You can go extremely wide. You can go with an 8mm fisheye styled lens, which is like an aspherical look, so it causes like a circular look within the photo, gives it a different field of depth, and it's really effective in many ways, where depending on what type of style you're going for. So it really varies on the lens, but my go-to lenses are 24-70, a 50mm, a 24, and 70 to 200 as well. I think that as well is the best lens for like festivals, and as well as doing venues that have high stages, because it's a pain when you're shooting festivals that have high stages. Like it's not the one.
Just like,
especially bigger venues like the O2 Arena and Wembley SSC Arena. That lens is a must. So as I said, it really depends on your surroundings, and it really depends.
So are there any other devices that people can use? So if they can't like afford like a high-tech camera, is there anything that they can?
I think always understand what your budget is and realistically what you want to start with at first. As I said, like, it's not always about the camera. I know people that start off with a startup camera and they've got some insane results. It's just about really understanding your budget, understanding what websites you go for. I think there's some great websites that you guys can check out. Park Cameras, Camera World, Digital Rev is another one that I look at, which is amazing. And what else as well? MPB as well, and BH Photography, which is an American photography website. Only thing, it's got great prices for photo kits. But only thing is, tax is a madness. When you're getting taxed through like overseas, it's absolute madness. But I would recommend check those out. Obviously, we'll put some links below for you guys to check out and really relate to what you want to go for. And I think, as I said, it really depends. Some people might want to start as a vlogger. Some people want to be as a lifestyle photographer, a portrait photographer. It really depends on the budget, and it comes down to what you want to build at first. I feel like start off with something that's small, and then build it later on to really experiment. Experimentation is your best friend, and treat your camera as your best friend. That's a fact.
Treat it like a baby.
No, but it's true. Like, if you don't really understand the functionalities of what your camera gives, then what's the point of having a camera at first? So I feel like you need to really understand its functionalities and do your research about it as well. YouTube is there for a reason. And even ask photographers around your circle that you're really inspired from. They can always give you advice on what's good and really what's mind-opening towards the type of budgeting you have for a camera. So
once you got all your material, your footage, then it comes to the editing process. So
yes.
How does that go?
This is, editing can be fun, but at the same time it can be extremely stressful. I always shoot my photos in RAW. So never ever shoot your images in JPEG. That's a common factor that is related in the photography industry. RAW, reason why being, is because you have better quality throughout the process of editing. The image stands out more cleaner, and as well, you really get to see the inner detail of when you edit. I always say it's so key to really shoot your edits in RAW. And as well, when it comes to actual editing, please, this is a common mistake everyone does. Don't edit through your laptop, through your SD card. that is a no-no, because a lot of people lose their work through that, and anything could happen. My best recommendation is copy and paste your photos onto a hard drive at first, and buy hard drives that are fast and powerful. So when you're editing from your hard drive, it's more effective, it's more safer, and it's a better option for you to really take in, for people to really have a better editing experience. So that's for like the technical side of when you're exporting and importing images onto, I don't know, let's just say Lightroom or Photoshop. So for me, I use Lightroom for my color grading and my presets. Sometimes presets save my life. So for those who don't know what a preset is, it's basically like a filter. So you add like an Instagram filter to your image, and it really defines the color quotations of your looks of the photo, and it changes the whole dynamics of it. I like using Lightroom for color grading because I feel like I can get more of a effective use when it comes to grading my photos on there, creating my own presets. I've even sold my own presets for people because I feel it's another way to make an income of money. I think it's fantastic. Whereas other stuff like retouching, as well as going advanced with like anything that relates to like overlays and creating different abstract styles, Photoshop's your best friend for that. So I use Photoshop a lot, quite often. Photoshop is something that I really look into, but with Photoshop, you need to take more time. I think the same with Lightroom as well. You need to take time. Everything's about color grading, your compositions, as well. Even throughout before, composition angle is so key as well when taking a good photo as well, because it makes a major difference. So then you don't have to crop anything, you don't have to remove anything, and it saves the time for the quality to be taken down. So I believe that's good.
We have a question from the audience.
Go for it.
It's a weird question, but a lot of the time I find that my edit looks different on my laptop and on my phone. How can I prevent this?
I think it's export settings. It's what your export settings is. Please make sure your export settings are correct. Check what you're exporting at first, your resolutions, your quality of standards, and as well as make sure it's always exported with JPEG. TIFF is only used if you're in, let's just say, a music industry. I always send TIFF files to like the graphic designers because they need higher quality standard photos to edit. TIFF is a bit of a madness because it's higher memory, and it's an absolute pain. But I always send my clientels and graphic designers TIFF. So TIFF is something to really consider as well. But I would recommend do it to the highest resolution of JPEG, but to the point where you really need to understand your export settings for your phone, your social media apps, because you know, with Instagram, for example, it takes down the quality of your photo, which can be so annoying. So I really think just really research your export settings deeply, and I think it has more of an understanding of how you make a photo stand out within the quality of it. For me, I think all my photos look exactly the same when I export it from my laptop to my phone.
We have another question. What if you enjoy taking images of a wide range of genres? Should you narrow down what type of photography you shoot?
I mean, for example, I started as a music photographer, so I got into the world of music, and then throughout the journey, everything just excelled, and then it really opened me doors to change things. So I knew fashion and music were relatable. Yeah, so I then included the world of music, fashion into it, jumped into the world of editorials throughout the years coming, and then really just tried to come out of my comfort zone and then include the two as one. So that's fashion and music have a heavy correlation and a lot of similarities.
Just got another question.
Yeah.
What settings do you suggest are the best when exporting for Instagram?
Oh, see, this is the thing with Instagram. I think with me, Instagram is stressed because it's always going to downgrade your quality regardless of the situation. I think for me, when I export from Lightroom, I put it up to 250 resolution and then go by 1080p to 1280 by frame, and as well as by quality of standard. That's how much I export it by, to be fair. And I think that's really my simple settings, because with that, Instagram, it's just, they haven't really improved the export settings when putting a photo on.
Okay.
And it's just for them to really improve on. Same with like the whole thing with their algorithm as well. So I think Instagram really need to improve the quality of standards when it comes to that, because on Facebook and Twitter, well, especially Twitter, your quality of photos kind of still stay the same. So that's a great thing about it. Instagram, of course, is more of a app used to upload photos. So yeah.
Nice. Any more questions? Okay, cool. So how did you learn about all of this editing? Like, did you have to do a course or watch YouTube or?
I think for me, I experimented a lot and I really got to be around amazing photographers that really gave me the initiative of understanding what makes a good photo. A fun fact, my first 2.5 years to 3 years of photography, I edited everything on my phone through Visco and Lightroom. I know it's mental. Like, people look at me thinking, how the hell did you used to do it? How the hell did you have a lot of memory in your phone? I don't even know myself. That's how mad it is. But then I remember the likes of, obviously, the Mabdul and Nifty, shout out to both of them. I remember throughout the years coming, they were like to me, bro, you need to edit with Lightroom. You need to come off this phone edits. It's not going to be healthy for your quality of photos. You need to have these because sometimes you need to make sure you have these as a backup, and you really see the difference when editing on your laptop. So I feel it's so key to really understand the editing process and take time with your edits. Finding your original style is key in today's photography society. Because people would know what your photo looks like. I get people coming up to me saying, that's a Zek photo from far. Oh, I know this is Zek's photo. Even if that person doesn't credit me on social media, they will instantly have this mindset of, that's Zek's photo from a far distance. And I think that's why I had this distinctive style. And people will look at it and think, yep, this guy's original with his style. That's him.
So how do you, like, what advice would you give someone in terms of if they're figuring out their own style? Like, where should they start?
I mean, as I said, it's experimentation. Like, have fun with it. Take your time and really see differences with different scenarios. So you could shoot someone in an outdoor location. If that preset looks good or whatsoever looks good on that person, try it on like when you're shooting an event or a fashion shoot. If you're in a studio as well, try to see if the preset works. If not, change it up a bit. Sometimes you don't have to go overboard with your edits. Sometimes simplicity can be the best way to go through with the process. I always think, like, when it comes to studio photography work, depending on the lighting, depending on the colors and everything that I've used throughout the setup, it's really key. For me, I think when it comes to actual shooting, set designing is so key when it comes to like doing your studio photography work. A good set design and a good setup of lights and knowing what type of lighting you go for can really make a major difference. So I feel like as well, even though I didn't include those, yes, lighting is like prime key. Like, that is something everyone needs to go through as a major process. Understand your lighting scenarios, because some people like shooting in natural daylight. And that could be their best friend, but you really need to understand where the sun's directing towards, where the sun is pointing towards in terms of like this pointing towards a different object, and you can really use it to your advantage. And sometimes people like shooting with natural light. Some people even take their own lights outdoors and shoot with like outdoor studio flash photography setups. So even that in style, and people use reflectors as well to add nice tone to people's faces. Really depends what you're going for. For me, I like shooting natural, but at the same time, I've recently just jumped into using actual Godox lights, studio flash powered battery lights. I'm telling you now, you can still get some great results, but as I said, you just need to really experiment what you're going for. So, and it depends on your client as well. Your client is key. The client will always want something to go for. So yeah.
I've got a question from Farhad, and he basically says, do you think photos alone is enough, or should photographers look into becoming hybrid shooters?
Oh, interesting. I think, I mean, there's a lot of photographers, like even for example, like myself, 2018, I came with an idea with a good friend of mine called Sam. So we came with a concept of doing like a montage video for the Migos, using our photos together. So he done the editing. He brought them together as a hybrid aspect of bringing the video world and edits of videos into the world of photography. Everything just went mad. Like, it changed the whole game of the UK in terms of what to do and how to edit photos. People were just out of their minds thinking, how the hell did this happen? And really just, it changed a lot of people's viewpoints about photos. Is just more taken about a photo. You can do so much of it. And big up to Sam, like, we just done crazy with that. I think, that video got actually used for the BT Awards for the Migos. Okay, so yeah.
We have a question from Anthony. Would you recommend just using the automatic settings on your camera or learning how to manipulate the manual settings thoroughly?
I would say shoot with, it depends how comfortable you are with what you go for first. For me, I've always shot in manual. I feel like with manual, you have a real better understanding of how to really balance your camera settings. I feel you can really see within what it takes to have a good photo and really understand the logics of your aperture, shutter speed, and your ISO. Automatic is a lifesaver though. Don't get it twisted. It has saved me numerous occasions at venues, at shows, and so many other occasions where I felt to myself like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? Why is this shutter speed, or why is it not looking good throughout the camera? It's a lifesaver, and I think it really is effective in certain scenarios, but however, manual is the best way forward.
And Anthony's followed up with, is it, regarding resolution, is it worth splashing out on a mirrorless camera, or could I get similar shots on the DSLR? You can get them both in many similar ways. I think every camera has its own great functionalities. It's about your in-camera settings with the raw quality. Please always shoot yourself in raw when it comes to photos, as I said, because the quality does really stand out. I think, however, with mirrorless, I think it's a bit different, because with mirrorless, the RGB settings is a bit different. So RGB settings is your red, blues, and greens. So you really get to see the different connotations in terms of how the colors stand out. And when you're editing, you have a bit of a more of a raw look, I would say. So especially when you're shooting with like Sony cameras have that kind of rawish look, but at the same time, you have more of a fun approach when editing photos on it.
Nice, thank you.
No problem.
Any more questions? Oh, thank you. Thank you for the questions, by the way. I love how you're all engaged. So yeah, you mentioned earlier that you have like a good connection of people who like supported you and guided you through your journey. Yeah. So I guess that relates to like networking. So how would you say networking is very important to have? There's a quote I follow by: generational wealth will be defined by your networking. And this is such a fact. With the actual term of networking, obviously it means you meet new people, you get to know new people, and you really understand what people are about. And you want to sell yourself as a person when networking. But however, you have to network smartly and strategically. Those two words are exact key. Strategically and smartly. It really depends on how you approach things, the persona of the person that you're speaking to, and the energy. For example, me and you in an event. Yeah, cool. Hey man, like, I see like you're with some people that I know. Like, oh yeah, like, how are you? Blah blah blah. Also, that's not how you approach things. For me, that does not work that well, because you want to be respectful in your mannerism, but at the same time, you want to be very, very respectful in a way where you're being polite, but you'll be very, very, how should I say, straight to the point. Hi, Kia. Hi, nice to meet you. How are you? I'm good. How are you? Not bad, thank you. Not bad. How did you find the event today? Amazing. Learned a lot. Great. I see, obviously, you know, my manager, Christian. I see you guys are good friends. I wanted to know what you do for a living. Yeah, so I do journalism, and yeah. Oh, amazing. I'm a photographer myself, so I'm a fashion, music, commercial photographer. I mean, we could link up with each other and really get things down in terms of bringing your world of journalism into the world of photography. I feel like we could apply for many magazines. What's your contact email? Please give you, if that's all right, and I'll follow up with an email, and I look forward to hearing from you. Nice. Great. Simple steps 101. Find out what the person does, understand what the person is, and really just
see from the energy of perspective. Some people like to have long conversations, some people don't. It really depends on the circumstance of what's happening. And I feel like that's key in today's society as well. Another thing, a way to network with music artists as a photographer. This is another key aspect that you need to learn. For example, key artist, someone, let's just say example, she's like a Mabel. I approached Mabel and said, oh my God, I'm a fan of your music, Mabel. I want to show you some photos I took. Oh my God, like your music's so amazing. You look so gorgeous on set, blah, blah, blah. None of that. Stop over complimenting people. You're on a professional set. There's a difference. Way to approach artists is like this. Hi Mabel, how was today?
Yeah, thank you.
How was the video shoot? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, it was great. Thank
amazing,
you.
Amazing. I just wanted to say I've got some great photos of you. Is there a contact email I can have, or is one of your managers here? Because I would love to send them over to you and see what you think and see if it can work in the future.
Sounds great. Happy to share.
Amazing. Simple, effective, and straight to the point. Artists like that because they really want to see what you're around. And I always say your work talks to action more than how you speak to people. You can speak, you can talk the talk, but I'm telling you, your quality of work really defines your standards of who you are as a person and what it stands for. I feel like that's what I always do. I love to meet new people, but I always make sure the work speaks for itself and has a million volumes. So that's how the party is to network with people. And as well, when I've been around a lot of people in my circle, so like the likes of Nathan Hector, the Shay Lingos, I really learned a lot from them. And the great thing is, because I've always delivered great things with them, word of mouth is so powerful.
Yeah, of course.
The more they spread your brand to other people about what you do and who you are and what type of work quality you have to provide for that next client, the better opportunity you have to expand on your network and meeting your new client. I feel like word of mouth in today's society is so powerful. Throughout those times, as I said, like someone like Nathan, he's brought me to work with the likes of the Mo Stacks, the Kojo Funds, who else do I say, the Young Baines, a lot of these major artists in the UK. And I feel like you have to appreciate and really give thanks to the people that brought you on.
Yeah.
And that's such an important aspect to really take in. So, yeah.
So it's like a leave with a good impression, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And people really want to see what you're made of. People want to see what's so important to you and why they hold high regards in terms of when they know that person that you know, can you really deliver the same situation that you delivered with that person? And it's really about being consistent with it. So, yeah.
Just being yourself.
Yeah, and always as well, like when it comes to networking, don't come with this begging aspect. Don't become a beg to people. Just be straight to the point. Treat them as a business, as a next clientele, and respect them, and they will respect you within your brand and your business and authorities. So I feel like, remember, you're here for the art, you're here for the love of it, and you're here to change things. Don't come here as someone who seeks validation for popularity. That's not needed. Like, there are people out there that do it, and obviously that's different to people's standards and that's within people's choices. But for me, it's about the craft. It's about really appreciating the craft that you put in work and the times and effort, and really just making sure you have a strong business circle as well. So that's key.
Nice, thank you. Yeah.
We have a question from Heidi. Regarding portfolios, what's the best way to present your portfolio? Any specific sites to professionally show your work?
Right, so cool. There's three things. Obviously, Instagram, a lot of people use that. I think Instagram is a quick access point that people can go through. So I feel like Instagram is something that a lot of people go through today. It's something quick you can go for, something straight and effective. Another two ways I do is having a website is a great portfolio showcase, really illustrates your work. Clean, standard, but really nice, structured websites can be so good for people. And I think it has so much opportunities for you to really bring new clients because people want to see more of your work. And another thing as well I have is called pitch decks. So pitch decks is basically like slide PDFs where you send your best work in one PDF file in numerous slides. For example, I could have a pitch deck based on like my events work. So I send them different shots. I could have one slide based on my wide shots. I could have another slide based on like behind the scenes shots and events. I can have another one for close-ups, and it really shows different angles of what type of style you have within that category. I think that's really big in terms of having that, because when you're sending it to bigger brands and bigger clients, they really like that because they want to see something that's quick and accessible. Sometimes they don't have an opportunity to really check a website and an Instagram because they want to see something that's straight attached, boom, that's there. Does it really, how should I say, relate to their vision of what they're trying to execute, and does it relate to your vision of what you're trying to execute with them? So that's how I have my portfolio and showreels.
Nice. So speak another question.
Just another question from Anthony. He would like to see your work.
I mean,
what's your website, Jay?
So cool. Obviously, my Instagram is zek.snaps, zek.snaps. My website is www.zeksnaps.com. It's going to be updated very soon, so keep an eye on what I'm about to post, and that's where you can check my work. Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of branding,
yes,
would you say that's very important, like kind of figuring out that and putting that forward to people?
Oh yeah, 110%. I think branding in today's world is so important. I think us photographers are becoming influencers, and it's actually insane. So I think there's been a lot of photographers in the UK that have broken those barriers. For like example, myself, I was one of the first UK photographers to be on the front cover for Guap magazine, which for a lot of people, it changed the looks of what a photographer is. Who else can I give an example? Serious Films, shout out to Danica. She basically became front of face campaign for Topshop. She was modeled for it, and she basically done a lot of stuff with Dazed and these major publications and brands. And she herself is not only just an amazing photographer, but I see her as a major brand, Serious Films. So if you really research about her brand, you will understand who she is, not just as a photographer, but as a brand. The same with myself, Zek Snaps. That's big key. So I feel like being a brand in today's society does stand out for a lot of people, and it really gives a strong sense of agenda of me making people feel, right, I want to book this guy because he stands out for who he is as a brand, and I know the quality of work he's going to provide. It's going to be straight flames. So that's what it is.
And like, what can people do to someone who's struggling with establishing their brand? What can they do? Do you have any tips on that?
I think first of all, build yourself in the world of social media. I think really understand the algorithms and how your analytics works on social media, and be consistent with what you're posting on social media. I think consistency in social media's world is key. Especially Instagram, their algorithm is messed up. I don't know why Instagram always do this. Like, it always mess up people's algorithms. It's just so annoying. But at the same time, there are ways to break those rules. And I feel as well, come with a unique name for your photographer's name. Because I see a lot of people coming with blah, 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 JPEG, blah, 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 JPEG, taken by blah, blah, blah. Like, it's great because these are the type of things that make a photographer stand out. You don't want to be known as a photographer by your first name. You want to be known as a photographer by a different style. Like me, people call me Zek Snaps. People just come up to me like, "Oh, Mr. Snaps, how are you?" Blah blah blah.
Mr. Snaps.
Yeah, like people come like, I've had crazy nicknames. Like I've had crazy nicknames from artists. I even had one major artist, I think it was YC. He said he calls me Executive Zek. So it's just like, it's absolutely insane. So I think, yeah, just market your name first. Really understand the analytics of the social media world, especially Instagram, because their algorithm is so messed up. And I think research it. Add promos onto your photos. I mean, paying for promos is not that expensive. Honestly, it's not that expensive. You can put £4 for like 5 days, and you'll get more of an audience to reach out to. So for those who want more information on it, feel free to hit me up separately and I can give you that answer.
So it's about like investing in your own branding.
Yeah, exactly. I think invest in yourself. Myself, like I'm doing a lot of press with a lot of media publications now, because my management want me to really improve on my CSR. So for those who don't know what CSR is, it means corporate social responsibilities. So that means you're doing talks for young people, whether it's talks, as I said, speaking to publications about who you are, your journey. And I feel that's really effective in today's society because it really gives a backstory of people, of where you come from, your come up, and as well as your journey into greatness. So
in this case, that people have to be serious when they're taking on.
Yeah, exactly. So you just got to be smart with how you maneuver things. So that's what it's about.
Nice, thank you. So what advice can you give to our viewers on how to speak to clients, publication and brands?
Right, so it really depends on what you're going for. I think a good email makes a major difference. Let me get an example out actually. So I'm gonna have to use my phone, people. So, ladies and gentlemen. But cool. This is what a good email is. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna read it out to you loud and clear. And the reason why it has good grammar, good punctuality, but as well as it really defines the same vision with the client as well. So cool. Getting it out. Cool. So this is an email I sent across to Little Dirk's PR, and obviously mentioning the fact that we wanted to do Little Dirk for Viper magazine for a front cover. Unfortunately, didn't happen due to certain situations with Little Dirk, but it was approved. Everything was go ahead. So this is an email. Good morning, guys. I hope everyone's well and having a fantastic week ahead. I'm writing this email in regards to doing an editorial style shoot for Little Dirk when he arrives in London. Devon and Cynthia meet Lily, who's the founder of Viper Mag, and James is the consultant and creative strategist for Viper. I've included them onto this email to see if we can initiate a photo shoot / interview Little Dirk. Viper have done some exceptional shoots last year and they had some really high interactions on their articles with the American audience. Lily or James will be more than happy to coordinate examples or articles for the shoots they've done last year. Any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Here's a pitch deck of an idea of a movie that I want to present for the front cover. Kind regards. That's a professional, clean, straight to the point email. The client likes that. The client are observational. They really want to see that. And then James comes back saying, hey all, Zek, appreciate you opening the lines of comms. Here and introduce us all. This is something which we at Viper Art will be really keen on heading up. Then and Cynthia, a pleasure to meet you. Hope all is well. Both an engaging editorial would be amazing. An interview to accompany the editorial would be a great for us to collaborate and make magic happen with all of us. I have noticed on our other email thread, which has come back to immediately, it's really important us at Viper to champion everything we spearhead towards with a solid team of dedicated creatives to represent the talents we work to the highest. We'll be coming back on a separate thread for now. Really excited for this. Zek, thanks so much once again for this. And Dylan and Cynthia, we're really glad to be able to champion this with you.
So just basically do the breakdown with me. So introducing yourself.
Yeah, introducing yourself, letting people what's your interest point, why you're going for it, put an example, what you're going to go for, and really just, I always say as well, whoever's also coordinated you, introduce you, see that person as well, because they will always give you a good backing in terms of representing you and really standing out for you as a brand. So always understand that. That's a way of like being smart with your clients and really eye-opening with your clients through email. Even like for itself, like for me, I think one thing I always say as well, another way is keep in communication with your clients and your previous clients and people you have done great work with. I think COVID for me was one of the best times where I can reconnect with people. For example, I connected with one of my friends who worked as an A&R for Sony. She basically then said to me, how's things going on? And obviously I said to her, simple, how's things? Hope you're staying safe throughout these crazy times. What you been up to? Let me know if you need anything. And then a couple months during COVID, she was like to me, yeah, everything's good. Thank you for reconnecting with me, Zek. It's been great, even though it's been a tough time for a lot of us. However, I'm planning to do a few shoots with some of the artists that I have, that I'm currently working with. Therefore, we might need your services for future requirements. A couple of weeks after, she hits me up, work comes in. And that's how it is, like reconnecting with your previous clients
showing that you care, basically.
Yeah, exactly, and they like to see that. They like to see that because it really shows that you're serious as a person and you're being moderate to them. So be moderate in a way where you really want to not only care about what you do and what you're trying to get from them, but at the same time really care about what they're doing as well.
Yeah.
Because you really want to find out what they're about and how they're providing themselves in terms of bringing you to a next job. So that's what's key.
Nice, thank you. So are there any questions from our audience? Okay. So do any of you who are photographers out there have any cameras that you would like to let us know? How long you've had the camera, what you like about it, what you've done with your camera, any shoots you've done? Just let us know, just type them in the group chat. Let's get a number of how many professional photographers we have in this chat. Just raise your hand if you are.
One question.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Is there an agency that you can sign up for event photography?
For event, this whole thing about agencies, how am I going to break? Okay, so how do I break it down? I think with an agent, it really depends. For me, you have to have an agent that has two things: understands your vision as a photographer and understands your brand and how they can improve your brand. But as well, someone who fights your corner every time when it comes to negotiating with clients, really understanding the business side of the world of industry you're in and has experiences and expertise within that industry. People will talk the talk about being an agent, but I've seen situations where photographers have been with agencies and they don't provide them the exact service that they wanted at first. And it doesn't work that way. An agent's all good in that, but at the same time, I feel it's your own network that can really rise you up to the highest peaks on the mountains. So I feel in that sense, please understand, like, an agent is great, and the word agent is a great thing to think about, but realistically, as I said, it comes down to the vision of them really understanding it, your brand, your marketing, and as well as their experiences and expertise in the industry itself. You don't want to go for someone who doesn't have no experience in anything in the industry. You might have someone who's fantastic at negotiating, someone who knows the financial side of business and as well really likes you, but if they don't have any experience with that industry, then it's not going to be a good standard. So that's my question to that answer. Sorry, my answer to that question. Yeah.
So a couple of you have logged in and said about what they use to take pictures. So Mateo says he uses his phone.
Interesting.
And Heidi has an Olympus pen camera. Any advice on that, on how to get better?
I mean, I think, as I said, it's experimentation. For me, like, I know some dope iPhone photographers. Like, iPhone is just becoming crazy now. They're innovating their technology to the next level.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I've seen photographers on iPhone take better photos than people with DSLRs and that. And I think it's just really getting used to it, understanding it. Like, even myself, I'm going to jump into the world of film photography because I see film photography such a big thing now. And it's so amazing to see, like, that rawness, but as well as the colors that film photography brings. So obviously there's different styles of film photography. There's medium format, there's point and shoot, there's 35mm, there's long format. There's so much points of film photography. Obviously, I'm not the biggest expert when it comes to film photography, but I know for a fact I know my categories quite well, and I know what type of film photography I'm going to go into, which is medium format. Obviously, medium format is quite pricey, but however, the type of style you get from it is insane. Same with every style of film photography. Like point and shoot, you can get some great photos. 35mm, you can get some great photos. Long format as well, you can get some crazy photos. It just really depends on what style you want to go for and what's your option of within your budget. Realistically, be realistic about what you're going for as well. That's what I say.
Nice, thank you. Any more questions?
How long did it take you to get your agent?
I think it took me about into the 3.5 years. I think what's fantastic about my agent Christian is he basically had a video platform and he turned it into an agency. But the one thing I liked about him is the fact that I met him in 2017 at Young Teflon's headline show. And he was just filming, doing these things. He's like, yeah, I know about you, Zek. I was like, who's this random guy just trying to say to me, you know me? But at the same time, I connected with him. I really got to know him. And throughout, he's like, yeah, I do a lot of stuff with this brand and that brand. And I'm a brand's consultant. So throughout the years, I remember he got me into shows like Ray Shrummer. This is before he managed me. So he got me to shows like Ray Shrummer backstage. We met so much people like the Wu-Tang Clan, like Raekwon and all these people. And throughout that, I really understood what he was trying to do. It wasn't there for like the money. It wasn't there for like something he's trying to bribe me for. He was there because he really appreciated who I am as a creative. And even till this day, like we always have chats about what's next, how do we provide each other assistance, what can we do for next year. Like even himself, he came with the idea of the podcast. He's like, we need to do a podcast, expand on the actual brand of Zek. Because even myself, like next year, I said to myself, I'm going to expand the name Zek. I'm going to turn it into different categories. Zek Travels, Zek Munches, which is going to be like a channel where basically I bring different influencers and celebrities into restaurants and we sit down and review food restaurants. So that's going to be for like another page, and then even like Zek Flexes, which is going to be one for my gym workouts. Because a lot of people don't know, I do a lot of gymming and I'm into that type of world as well. And I think these things really open you. And I think having a good manager like that really makes you validate your points carefully. So that's what I would say.
I've got a question from Desron Captures. He says, how do you get yourself involved with behind the scenes work with artists who have no contacts within that field?
Directors are your best friends when it comes to these things, and production companies. Always connect with directors and production companies. They are the people that will get you through your shoots, and they love photographers that come on their set and just capture them BTS. And then they will do you the introductions. They will open you the introductions to these people. That's what I like about directors and the producers. They always bring you on, and I think that's what's really been captivating for the scene for the last few years. I feel like more directors than that are starting to really appreciate photographers now. And I got a shout out to every single director from the UK that brought me on and brought on other people, because I feel like it's a really good opportunity for them to really take in and to take things within the matter and work on that and really get to see how it's like on production when you watch a 3-minute music video. So yeah, even like shout out to Braid himself, like he knows what it's like to have a BTS photographer on set. So it's so important. And I think for them, it really captures the essence of what goes on. And throughout the years coming, they'll look back at the video and even the photos that photographer took. They're like, wow, like, this is crazy, like how this happened. And there's a level of steps when you're going through, because I feel like as myself as a photographer, directors know the same thing. When they go to bigger sets, they make bigger productions happen, they will understand the value of it. So yeah.
We've got a couple of questions. Well, first off, a lot of people have talked about the cameras that they've used. So someone's used a Nikon D3200 and a Nikon F601.
Okay.
And we have another one who asked about the Canon 7D.
Yeah, that's a great. I think Canon 7D is a great for camera to start off with. I think, especially for like if you're doing sports or if you're doing like anything that relates to fast-paced events. I think because the focal points and the shutter speed it has, and obviously the FPS, the frames per second it has, is insane for like capturing sports. I think that's a great camera to start off with if you're into the world of sports, the world of music, and as well as even like Fashion Week as well. Because obviously Fashion Week, you have the models walking down through the catwalk, and it's fast paced as well. So I feel like 70 is a great camera to start off with. And I think it's only like £300 now. Even the Mark II version, you can get like £700, which is great, I think, to start off with.
Do you have any cameras you would recommend?
I would recommend to start off with. It depends. Obviously, I'm a Canon boy, so obviously I love Canon to the death. So I think for me, great Canon cameras start off with 650D, 70D, 750D is another one, 80D is another great camera to start off with. I think always start off with a crop sensor camera because you really see the difference between that and a full frame camera. So for those who don't know what the difference is, so example, crop sensor basically crops down the focal length of a specific camera. So example, a 50mm will turn to an 80, will turn to a 75 or 80mm because it crops the sensor down to its exact focal length, whereas a full frame keeps the same number of that focal length as the same, and it lets more light into the camera. So I think really testify yourself with a crop sensor camera, and then when you're ready, move on into the world of full frame. That's what I would say.
I've got another question from Desron Captures, and this is live on Instagram. So what he's asking is, how did you work out your pricing structure?
Oh wow. I think with that, you can't. I think it's really depending on your portfolio and the work you've provided, and obviously the quality of standard you've worked with. With that, with understanding your pricing is so hard because you don't know what to go with at first, and it's very unpredictable. But however, in this world of the creative industry we're in, you really got to know your value and worth before anything.
Yeah.
How much you charge, how much you provide to people, what type of services you have. For example, I charge now by day rate.
Okay.
So if it comes to like 1 or 2 hour shoots, I let my manager deal with that. Same thing with the day rates. I charge them my day rate and I'll send them contracts. I'll send them contract agreement forms where, say example, if a label hires me for BTS but they want to use the photos for billboards and campaigns and single covers, I send them usage fee contracts. So you agree to my day rate, however on top, if you use these photos for press and blah blah blah, this is the amount of how much I want this standard to be used when you're using these images. Because in this game they don't tell you these things. Unfortunately, you have to learn the harsh reality in order for it to really understand what the game is. I always say research and conduct it. Conduct your research carefully of what world you're going into, especially the music industry. These people have money. However, you just got to know and really appreciate the fact that build your relationships with them first. You got to start off for free. I know doing stuff for free is a bit crazy, but at the same time, that's how you build your brand at first. And then when you start charging one by one and you start seeing differences and your work value goes up and your brand starts to become more noticeable towards people, then you can start really seeing a difference within change. Because annually, photographers don't get paid that much in the UK, and it's absolutely insane. So I feel really understand the breakdown points of what industry you're going for. Start off for free, build the relationships, start charging clients one by one, not mad over price budgets. And then when your work gets gradually better, start upping your price a bit.
Can you recommend any sites where people can find out information? Or
I could. I would recommend just hit me up because I think there's books and there's podcasts that speak about this a lot. So I'll definitely hit you up guys about that. So
great. So they can just contact you online?
Yeah, I can send that over. So
awesome.
No issue.
What can you tell us about copywriting and licensing?
Oh, this is a big one. This comes down, as I said, it comes down to your contract forms and agreements. Please send contracts over. Don't, obviously, people say, obviously, the only thing is you need to make a good contract. So that's why I think those books and resources that I recommend will tell you how to exactly make a good contract and what type of terms and conditions you offer to the person. So I think copyright is key because I feel like a lot of people get finessed. I see a lot of people's work get reposted. Even though they get credited, you still think, how the hell did this person get that photo? It's amazing because obviously you want some publicity and you want some good promotion, but at the same time, there are some people out there that take your photos, they repost it, but they don't credit you. And you're thinking, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Always hit up the person and always make sure you get your credit and your copyright legislation used. And as well, when you're sending out these photos to clients, just find out what they're exactly using it for and copyright it. But at the same time, not all photos you can copyright because some photos will be owned by the artist later on once they pay you.
Yeah.
So it really depends.
I've got a question. You touched on this already before, but this lady has only just joined the conversation. So this is the Lou Thed. She basically asked for a message in directors to do behind the scenes shoots. What's the best, what's the correct approach? But I think because you've answered this before and they've only joined, can you just tell us again, like the top 3 things to do? Because I know you mentioned being direct was definitely one of them. What are the other things that you think people need to do?
Yeah, so with directors on Instagram, it's simple. I think be direct with them, find out what they've got coming up next. Obviously, give them a bit of a big ups. I think sometimes bigging up can be nice, but at the same time, don't overdo it when you're bigging up a person. And as well, just provide them and be like, look, I want to come to your set. I can provide you photos of yourself on set and the production team. This is what I can offer to the table. And people, directors will look at that and they will take in. So I think that's simple.
Awesome. Thank you.
We have a question from Heidi. What is media photography? Is it similar to a shoot photographer? I met one working on a short film and found it to be really interesting.
But say that again.
What is media photography?
Okay. Is it media or medium?
Medium?
Medium. Okay, so yeah, medium is related to the film world. So medium format is one of the best things for like film photography. I think they use a lot of like manual based cameras, so like Mamiya's RB7s. It's like a big box camera where you go through a viewfinder and you really get the initial detail through taking photos, and you basically like roll it out, and then it takes one photo per roll. So medium format is extremely pricey, but the results you get from it is effective. Whereas a point and shoot photographer, I think he's relating to, that's someone with, let's just say, a standard little point and shoot, a Polaroid or a Fujifilm standard point and shoot with a flashlight, automatic, boom, you still get some crazy results of it. So I think the difference is medium format is a bit more complicated because you really need to research into the type of camera you want. And I think there's Mamiya's, there's Hasselblad's, which is the most priciest ones out of all of them. Fujifilms have some great medium formats, I think, and Pentaxes as well. Look also into 35mm, like a great camera. I get a lot of recommendations from film photographers. Start off with the Pentax K1000. Affordable, effective, straight, and the lens itself is great for everything. So I would recommend looking to a K1000 Pentax if you want to get into the world of 35mm photography, but everyone's different. As I said, it's like digital photographers. If they want to shoot with a mirrorless camera, they'll shoot with a mirrorless camera. If they want to shoot with a DSLR camera, they want to shoot with a DSLR camera. Even their iPhone, they want to shoot with their phone, they will shoot with their phone. So it really depends on the style that you're trying to connotate and really bring to the table.
We have another question.
Yep.
What does your week as a photographer look like after a shoot?
Oh my God. It can be extremely hectic. There are times where I've had no sleep. Clients come with unexpected, unrealistic deadlines, but at the same time, you have to provide the service because you have to give customer satisfaction to your clients. There's been times where I've had no sleep. I've gone to shows the next day. Like, for example, I've been on tours. Then the next day, if I've got uni, I'll go back to the first coach from Leicester back to my uni. Then when I take my laptop on my break at uni, I'll edit half of these photos, then send it over to the client. And then so much things happens on a day-to-day basis. I think the world of freelance is so unpredictable because you don't know who you're gonna, what type of jobs you'll get last minute. For me, I had to take a break this month. Even though I've got like, I think 4 or 5 more jobs, I had to take a break. And I think this year really made me understand why self-reflection and resting is so important for your body and mind. That's why I was so happy when COVID came. I knew it was a bit of a disaster. It was crazy and a lot of people lost their lives. So RIP to everyone that lost their lives. It was not great for a lot of people's families and friends. Obviously, I lost 2 of my family members through that. But at the same time, it was a blessing in disguise because it really got me the opportunity to really take me out of my comfort zone, have some rest, take some time, and really just self-elaborate a lot of things within the next steps of my future. And I think it really got me to really see bigger things. So example, the Black Lives Matter protest. I think for me, that was my biggest moment of 2020. those photos went absolutely viral to the point where it was beautiful because it captured the essence of the Black community.
Yeah.
And I feel it was, for me, a great way to be part of that community and being thankful for that, for the fact that I've been surrounded by amazing Black creatives and the fact that they've given me this opportunity to be in their world of creativity. I'm so thankful for that. So it's just such a beautiful thing.
We have another question. What are your top 5 lenses in your kit?
Ooh, I like this. 50mm or 1.2 Canon, extremely pricey. Don't listen to people if you're trying to buy that. 24mm Sigma Art 1.4, amazing for depth of for wide lenses. 24 to 70 Canon 2.8 Mark II, one of the best lenses for me. 70 to 100mm Canon 2.8 Mark II, phenomenal lens for your festivals and for when you're capturing music events from like a far distance.
Yeah.
And it's really good for studio portraits as well, surprisingly. So yeah, last one I would say is a 35mm.
Nice.
I like 35mm. I think 35mm is the best go-to primers for your portraits, as well as some dynamic wide shots. So yeah.
Do you write your treatments for photo shoots?
Yes, I do. Now I do. I have to now because I feel like that's how you get your best creative inputs. But I do get some feedback and how should I say, scenarios from like one of my interns called China. So China always helps me out when it comes to overviewing my treatments and my briefs and pitch decks and when sending out to clients. So I think that's key. And usually some of the clients have their treatments and mood boards, and then I just add on an extra thing on top to see what type of similarity we can have.
One more question. When starting out in product photography or portrait photography, what would you say is the best way to learn?
Product or portrait photography, I would say I think portraiture is interesting because I think for a lot of great portrait photographers, how they started was taking photos of people on the street. That's a great way to start, I think, with portrait photography. Even photos of your family, I think is great. I think even your friends as well, it can really make you learn the details of what portraiture photography is about. I think it captures a lot of value into the points of the lifestyle that people go through, what type of portrayal that you're trying to give to the people and the story behind it. I've seen some super sick portrait photographers that have some great quality of work, and they've made documentaries about it. So portraiture documentaries. So even myself, I got a documentary about the rise of France, about the music scene in France. So I'm turning that into a portraiture documentary about the artists, of where they come from, to come up, and as well the background checks of where they are from. So, but through like portraits. So that's another thing I look at. And what was the other one? They said braid? Product. Yeah, so product as well, I think, is experimentation. I think always, for me, as I said, like, if you're doing product photography, you want to really get into product photography, whether it's a clothing brand, whether it's, a fragrance brand or something to do with like cosmetics, test out your lenses and really invest into macro lenses, because macro lenses get that close initial detail of the sharpness of the actual object. As I said, for example, like if you take this water bottle, you get a 60mm macro lens. You put the focal point on that. That's an object. Everything's out of focus, but you see the name of the brand and everything. That's product photography. And even product photography can be simple when it's a clothing brand. Just put like simple stuff, get a white backdrop, put like a white table and just shoot. And then, sometimes you get like, it depends, like it really depends.
What's your go-to camera?
I've got two. So 6D Mark II, which is for me like one of the best underrated full-frame Canon cameras, especially the upgraded version, which is the Mark II. I think is so good, and I like. Obviously, I've got a Mark IV 5D, but I think the next one I'm going to really invest into is an EOS R5 Canon mirrorless. Price is insane though, about I think £4,000. Wow. But it's really good. Like the standards is insane.
One more. So for those who can't purchase the 2 gram lenses, are there any other lenses or brands that you should look into?
Yeah, so as I said, 50mm, you can't go wrong with it. 1.8, that's about £120. Always invest into like lenses that are probably used, and I think used lenses as well. If you check out the quality of them and really see what type of condition they are in, I think with used lenses you can't go wrong with them. Like you can get them for like £200-300 cheaper than your usual retail price of that lens. So yeah.
Are there any places you can rent lenses?
Yes, Fat Llama. Fat Llama's a great place. Wex Photography as well. If you want to really get more professional standard quality of equipment for photography, Wex are great. They're based in East London and Whitechapel. So I think I'll recommend to check them out. And what else? That's it really. I think that's the only 2.
Do you do a lot of post-production on your images, or do you prefer to capture the image best within the camera?
I like both. I think I like both because it really testifies your skills to the highest level, and you really get to see before and after of what makes a good image and how you take a good image. So yeah.
What's your take on filters too?
It depends. Obviously, with me, I love my presets. I'm a preset master, I would say, and I think presets are amazing because they can save you so much time when you're dealing with them quick access clients, as I will call them, that just want delivery to the fastest point. Having them one quality standard preset and smacking it on top of other photos, and if the quality stands out with the same, just copy and paste that onto the rest of the photos. And sometimes you might need to retouch. You never know. That really depends. So you might need to retouch and just really change the quality aspects. So it really depends. So yeah.
We have another question. What was your fave shoot and why?
Ooh, this is a good. Oh my god, this is a good question. Oh wow. Oh, that's. I think every shoot I've done has its story of why it was great. I think top 3, I would say J Hus in no order. J Hus, St. John. Who else would I include in there? WizKid's One Africa Festival in O2 Arena. Absolutely phenomenal. One of the best experiences I ever got to see a concert live in the flesh, especially in the O2 Arena. For me being an audience member for like watching shows by Drake and that, to now shooting at the O2 on the stage, that was just a dream come true. I think that was one of the most pinnacle points. I think that for me, I said to myself, I can really take my world to the biggest steps and really change my world with the hands of my camera. And it's taken me worldwide with a lot of things. So yeah.
We have another question. In regards to mental health, what do you do to unwind after a hectic day of shooting? Do you edit your pics straight away?
Mental health. See, the thing is with mental health is it really depends on yourself and the type of psychological battles that you go through. For me, mental health has always been an uphill battle with me because it's always deteriorated my mindset in many ways. In a way where I've always wanted to quit. I've always wanted to lower my standards, comparing myself on a factor where I envy a lot of people's journeys, wishing I could be at that person's shoes. I feel like there's 2 things that's so key. Don't overload yourself with social media. Social media is not your reality to live. It's a fake reality, I say. And I only use social media now for purposes of posting my work, obviously showcasing what opportunities I can give to people and provide to people, and just really bigging up other people's works. Otherwise, I don't really use social media to go on the gossips. I don't really use that for like other standards. For me, that's not me. I just see it as a way where I just move on, get my work done and really understand it. And I read up my harsh lessons throughout it. I think that's what it is. I think people in this generation get attached too much to social media to the point where they have this thing called the comparison factor, as I said, where they compare themselves to another person's reality and they don't really live in their own feet of their reality, which is scary. And I think it's a way where we need to learn and apprehend things carefully and make these future workshops, and as industry experts and people that have been in the game for long, we need to provide it to young people, because I feel like in welfare communities and institutions from like governments don't really provide it to young people coming from deprived areas, even coming from wealthy communities. That it just really depends on like the world that you really live in and how you battle it. For me, how I really try to balance it, as I said, I'm a gym fanatic, so I train till my last breath, because with the gym, I feel like when I break personal records, or I'm really doing that one rep for max rep, and I'm getting people around me like pushing you, saying you can do it, come on. For me, that motivates me, because it feels like I'm battling my alter ego, I'm battling my inner demons, and I'm really trying to take away the darkness that's trying to strangle me away from the light. So that's one thing I'll do. And another thing is what I'll do is I'll go to a lot of exhibitions, watch a lot of films, and anime as well was another thing I love watching. I know people think like, wow, anime, like there's a lot of people I can relate to in my world that watch anime, because anime for me is amazing. Like I love watching anime because it's just surreal and it's just crazy. But at the same time, some animes can really relate to real life situations. So I get new ideas from animes actually, so it's mad. So that's my way of balancing mental health. Find something that you like as a side hobby. Really bring out yourself. It's not everyday work. Please understand that. Not everyday work. If you feel there's so much things going on and you feel like there's too much things, don't take on jobs that you can't realistically meet. And it's truth. Some people like to take the overload. Some people can really balance it, but some people like to take too much to the point where they self-destruct, and that's not healthy for the mind. And that really messes up the psychosis of your conscious and your unconscious state of mind. So yeah.
Yes, thank you.
How important is composition and how do you use it?
Okay, so easy. So every camera has a thing called the rule of third grid. So rule of thirds is so important. It's like you have a DSLR. Rule of thirds is here. It has 2 lines in the middle, 2 lines there. Depends on what type of rule of thirds. Some people have like the 6 lines, and some people like to have the zebra lining that points straight to the focal point in the middle. I like the 3 lines because I feel like it's simple, effective. And I feel like with composition, especially using the rule of thirds, is so great because it really shows you exactly the middle point of what you're trying to shoot. And sometimes experimenting with stuff like 30-degree compositions that can be so unique and it can make a photo look better. I think it's about using your rule of thirds to the fullest extent, and every DSLR camera has the feature, so I recommend definitely use your rule of thirds.
And what are the benefits of photography in dealing with mental health?
I think it's escapism. I think with me, it's really given me that creative freedom to really express my artistic desires, to really change the perspective, not of myself, and being one of the first Middle Eastern photographers to come out of the UK and really change the perspective of what Middle Eastern societies are. But I feel like it's there for me to cultivate people that have difficulties in life, people that have a voice of sense to showcase their struggles, people that come from different areas, whether you're living in a deprived society, whether you're living in a wealthy society. Mental health always occurs within a lot of people's life, whether you're working as a 9-to-5 as well. But I feel like, especially with us creators, because we're stimulating our brain too many times, we just overheat ourselves. And it's just so crazy. Sometimes I feel, I look at it because sometimes I think photography can lead me to my own demise, but at the same time, it's really, really giving me the opportunity to explore everything and really explore the world and different cultures and make me love something that I truly got into at first. Whether the fact that obviously with me, I'm a big football fanatic. I love football to the death, but not everyone will have a career to be a footballer. So I felt like the destiny was there when I started photography, and I know for a fact the final destination I'm going to be there with photography is going to take me to something so great that it's just going to leave a magnificent legacy behind. So that's what it's about.
It's great to hear that you are in like different industries. So, for example, you're gym fanatic, you know, your products into that, clothing, fashion.
Yeah.
So, would you say that's very important where you shouldn't really stick to one thing? Like, you should have different routes of income?
I think, as I said, like, it really depends. So, you have to link it towards what you like. I think someone did ask that question, but as I said, it comes down to the fact that with music and fashion, it's so similar. Because music artists love to be trendy with their looks. They love to style themselves with high fashion. And you can really implement those two categories into one. And it then breaks me into the fact that I can then explore different identities of photography. So, example now, like I got more into the editorial world, more into that. I really understand what editorials are really about. And even myself, like documentary photography is something I'm now starting into, which is I spoke about the French project. So that's really great way because it's now including music as well. It's not just documentary photography, it's linking music documentary photography into one. And I think just really take things within your hand. If you really like something, find what's specific and similar to that point of photography and just really have time to, how should I say, utilize your surroundings and really testify yourself to the highest level. So yeah.
Yes, thank you. Have you worked with any upcoming like young creatives?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm always keen to bring people on. Obviously, my agency, we basically got 2 interns now that intern for us. So they're really learning the traits of how to be a good photographer, but as well as being a great creative overall. I also have a young guy coming through called Connor. He's amazing, lighting assistant, someone who has an understanding what photography sets are like, and himself as well as a photographer. Like he's just getting better and better, and I'm proud of him because he just done a TEDx talks recently, and he really opened himself more as a human being, and I feel that's what it's about. I think really opening yourself more to the people and really giving opportunity to people something that they can be grateful for, and it's a big gratitude towards it. So I think that's what's fantastic.
Thank you. So if you don't mind me asking, like, how was life before this photography? How was it? Because you said you were studying, wasn't you?
Yeah. So obviously I studied creative media level 2 and 3 back at Westminster College. I was in a really bad place because obviously we moved out of areas. It's one of the best decisions my parents ever done. At the same time, I really didn't have much of a thought process of what career I was going for, but I knew film was something I could relate to. Then it related back to then straight to photography. So studied in City Westminster College for 3 years, then got to university. It was great, and I think the start was amazing. It was fun, it was great, but I started to realize a lot of my mental health started to play in and really, really derail my mindset. And it really took a long toll on affecting myself psychologically and physically. Because people tend to forget mental health is not just about your mind, but it's physically embodies a lot of traits for your nervous system, but as well as your mental psychosis. So I feel a lot of people tend to forget like it's more of a body psychosis as well as your mind as well. So I think really for me, what was the biggest challenge was balancing my mental health. Even till this day, it still is a big challenge. But I feel I'm so proud of myself because even though I've been coming close to commit suicide and really lose my life and just end everything with an instant, I really didn't let I didn't really let the darkness overtake me. And even till now, till this day, when I'm here, standing on my 2 feet, breathing and just living and still having my parents around me and my loved ones, it's a blessing, absolute blessing. So it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. I loved it. But even till now, everything will have an obstacle to really go. You have to really break through. No matter how fun your life is, there's always going to be something hard. Even as I say, a rich man will never fully be happy with his rich life. Just because I'm a rich man, maybe have £1 billion to his account, or he's got £1 billion to his net worth, doesn't mean he's living happy for eternity. So I just feel there's a lot of things within the eye, what the eye tells and what the eye sees. So it's just about really seeing the procedure and just seeing the journey itself that you undertake.
And did you feel like you had people to talk to about your mental health?
I think from last year and late 2018, yes, I think I got more comfortable really speaking about it. I think it was more observational for me to really open myself to the public, because I feel, obviously not to social media that much, because I didn't want my clients to think like I'm a bit mad. At the same time, I really got to speak to my close ones. I kept myself away from Instagram. I didn't really put myself forward to Instagram. I used to do it, but then people got onto me saying, don't do it. People in the industry don't care. They don't really give a damn. Speak to us separately. I feel like me really speaking to my closest people was a great thing. And I feel it really opened my mind. And even bringing and relating these problems to someone who's got mental health as well, to my friends. We really got an in-depth understanding of each other's situations, really considered a lot of help and feedback, but as well as just being opening towards each other. And I think that for me is very key.
Awesome, thank you.
I've got a comment from LA.C. She says, love the honesty about mental health in the industry. He's spoken about a lot more. To add to that question, what things do you put in place to just make sure that you look after yourself as number one, and then secondly, being able to put the camera down?
I feel it's just maintenance and balance. So I feel like I always try to get my work done early for clients, and really as well, I always take 1 hour gym sessions. They just help so much. I think it's just relief that you just train and train your mind, really maintains balance into your health. And I think for me as well, what's so key, sleep. A lot of people downplay sleep so much. As creatives, I know we have crazy lifestyles, we hardly sleep, and there's a thing we go by, of course, no sleep for the wicked. But at the same time, I think COVID really brought back the essence of why sleep is so important. I swear, when I had my first 8 hours sleep in 2020, I was like, oh my God, that was the best thing I could ever have. And I had it for every day of the week for COVID. I was like, it's just refreshing, and it revitalized my body.
Yeah.
So that's what it was about. So I think, organizing yourself as well. Being organized is so key, because I feel it really propels a lot of problems in terms of really understanding your deadlines forward. And it really makes you know what to deal with. And always understand that. Speak to your clients as well. If you feel like there's a lot of things going on, be honest with them and let them know. Be like, hi, I've got something going on problematically with my life. There's a few things going on, but however, give me a few days and I can recalibrate myself. And they appreciate the honesty. I think sometimes clients love honesty because they really just don't. Because some of them do know it's not always about work. Some people can relate to your problem as well. So I think being honest with a client and just seeing what their standards and deadline is. So yeah.
Another question, just with regards to creativity and isolation. So obviously we've just come out of a lockdown, and we're going to go into another one. How can you continue to be creative and tell stories using pictures whilst in isolation? What kind of things can you do?
I think it comes down to the fact that where you come from and really just exploring different avenues of life itself. So for me, I think what was key was that when I saw the Black Lives Matter protest happen, I was like, I'm somehow going to be there, I'm somehow going to be involved, and I'm really going to be a trendsetter for this. And really be involved with the community and really empower the next generation about it. So I think for me, you have to continuously work upon yourself as a human being as well as a creative. So really take to under consideration that just keep shooting, whether it's in your house, whether it's somewhere, go to your local community, shoot around, find where it is. If you've got nature there around your community, go shoot like your local animals or whatsoever. And as well, even now that lockdown's over for a bit, go to exhibitions, go to museums, go to different places that explore a different style of art and as well as history. For me, I like to look into different contexts of history. I'm a man that loves history and geography. So obviously it comes within my nature that because I come from a rich Middle Eastern background from one of the first civilizations on earth, which is Iraq, I love studying different ideologies of history. And for me, it gives me a different look for me to really explore into I just have fun with it. I just take my mind off a few things. So yeah.
We have another question. What is a BTS photographer?
Behind the scenes photographer. That's what it stands out for. So yeah, behind the scenes photographer is just someone who really documents different perspectives of what goes on, whether it's a film production set, whether it's an artist before performing on show. Behind the scenes, I think they're the champions, man. I think they're the most underrated champions of the photography industry. I feel like they don't get enough credit for what they do. And I feel there's a lot to it when you're doing BTS photography. So it's not just about capturing behind the scenes, but as well, you're really capturing the story of what's going on within that scene. So yeah.
We actually have a question from Serene.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear us, Serene?
Yeah, I'm here. I just want to know, do you mentor anyone or do you have a mentor?
Yes, actually, as I said, I don't know if you was in earlier, but my agency, my under called Listen Up London, we actually have 2 interns that's running through. I actually made a massive call out, I think 3 months ago about interns. So I think applications went up to 270 plus people. It was absolutely insane. So for me, it was one of the best moments of my life because I really got to appreciate the fact that there was a lot of people that really wanted to learn from me. And I think myself as other mentors that look, I don't really have mentors, but I have advisors. I have photographers that have been in the game longer than me that I can get advice from and really see their point of view about the industry, really seeing where they come from and really how to deal with a lot of things in terms of your budgeting, your finances, balancing yourself and really investing yourself as a person, as a creative. So yeah.
I know you speak proud of your Middle Eastern background.
Yep.
How does that relate to your work? Do you incorporate someone in your work as well?
Not yet, because I feel there's a lot I could do with that very soon, but I do feel like I want to go back home and really document a lot of things that are unseen within what the media really portray. So, as I said, that my country is a country full of wealth and beautiful history. So, I feel, but my plan is one day is to go back home and really open the first media school back in Iraq. That's my major plan. So I think in that section, that's something I would love to do before obviously the day I die, before stuff happens. So I think once I create that, I know for a fact that will be one of my biggest accomplishments in life. So I feel once that's done and it succeeds, I want to go to Africa and really expand it to the world of Africa. Places that I see as the motherland. So, because I went to Africa last year, I went to Nigeria and Ghana, and it really related to back at home in many ways. So I think that for me is one of the major things is going back home, giving back to the community where you come from in terms of the roots, and even like going back to that area back in Ilford. I really want to do one day community work for that area. I really provide the youth there something. So that's the plan.
We have a question from Hina. Can you hear us?
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, yeah, sorry the chat wasn't working. Yeah, my question would be, what would be one of your kind of biggest life lessons that you tell anyone of any age, actually? Probably younger than you, I guess.
Never take rejection as a personal thing. I think rejection can be your biggest yes later on in your life. Don't be afraid to take the no's as well. Do you know what I define no as? Next opportunity. That's how I see it. I'm telling you now, there's been many times where I've been rejected by a lot of artists, a lot of publications, managements, that they said to me, your work wasn't good enough to enter this venue or gig, or even do some work with us. And then I brought it into life. I really brought it into the essence of expectations where I was like, I'm going to work with these guys soon. Like, things will naturally just come to me. And I believe in it. I believe in the power of just really thinking that things naturally just gravitate within that can really make things happen. And I feel like, as I said, it comes down to the fact that your work defines the high standards and morals of who you are and what it presents. So I feel like never ever be afraid to be rejected. Look at no's as next opportunities and turn your rejections into the biggest yeses later on in your life and learn from it.
Thank you. I really like that.
No problem.
We have another one from KCC.
Hiya. So I saw some of your BLM work and the photos. Can you tell us like what impact that had on you and like your art and stuff?
Well, I think impact-wise, I think it was insane because I feel for me like I've really studied into the ideology of Black culture. Like I've always studied the past references of what obviously going through slavery and all of these things and colonization, but as well as imperialism through like the Black society for like decades and years. I've always been a person who likes to research and really look into the depths of it. And even in today's modern day society, history repeats itself. And I feel for me, when I was a part of it, and the reason why it really impacted me so heavily is because where I come from, there's a lot of situations with bombings, killings, innocent children losing their lives. And I think it really relates to the problem that we are all fighting one common enemy, and that's people in power. People that really want us divided, people want us segregated, people that want us to be hating each other's own people. I really relate to that a lot in many ways. Obviously, the Black society, I think they've suffered the most out of everyone. That's a major fact. I don't care what no one says. I don't care if you're from another race that really disagrees with that theory. I think the Black society have suffered heavy situations within their life through their ancestors and through the times that have been flowing through that has really related to the current problematic issues that's going on with today's political world. And the real reason why I was so to be proud of that is because, as I said, I came into a creative world full of Black creatives. And for me to be a part of that and to be thankful for the fact that I've worked with the amazing kings and queens of the creative industry, especially from the Black community, and the fact that they've been so welcoming, so appreciative of what I do, I can never forget of where I come from. And for me, it's always been that standard of moral where I really appreciate that. And it really made me understand the emotions that were erupting through people's minds, why it was such a big thing throughout the world. And the story itself really defines people's pain, but as well as the passion and, how should I say, the determination to make a change in the society we live in. And I feel those photos tell a story, and it will go on for 20 plus years when people will look back at it and be like, whoa, I remember this day in 2020 for the BLM march in George Floyd for the UK. It's going to be there for the history. And I think for me, it's just relatable to a lot of things within my culture as well. But I feel it was just beautiful to see. So, yeah.
We have another question. Teo, do you want to speak through?
Hi, I just wanted to ask, what was the name of the podcast you mentioned earlier?
Oh, it's called Zek Chats. So it's like Zek Snaps, but instead of snaps, it's chats. So we're going for a rebrand. Obviously, next year we're changing it up a bit. So there's 2 episodes already out. So one about BLM and the other one's about discussing about drill through 2 major drill producers. So JD Made It and M1 and the Beat. So discussing about the culture of UK drill, Chicago drill, and paying homage to blah, blah, blah. Do you really need to pay homage to Chicago drill? Why the political standards of politicians in the UK are absurd about speaking about UK drill. Why we think UK drill has changed a lot of people's lifestyles in terms of giving them another way to escape their reality. So yeah, I would say just check it out. It's on YouTube, and just give yourself some feedback as well on what you think about them.
We've posted the link into the chat group, so hopefully everyone will just be able to log in and to have a look at it.
That'd be amazing.
We've got another question from Ina. How do you differentiate between seeing a no as a learning curve or actually the standard at which I'm coming with isn't that high enough. So I guess, how many no's do you go through before you can like...
How many no's? I mean, as I said, I defined it previously, next opportunities. Obviously, you've got to see in a way where, does that no really mean you keep continuing to go for it, or does it mean you just forget it and better opportunities will come through? You got to remember your expectations of what you want to go for and really relate it to the problem is key. You can remember, not every opportunity will speak for itself. Not every opportunity will be there that will meet your standards of initiatives. I feel every opportunity has a great thing to have for, but at the same time, some opportunities you don't have to really go for. I feel overloading yourself with too many opportunities doesn't make sense. Be expressive with type of the opportunities you want to go for and really understand why that opportunity can really change your life. Even when I first started, I done a lot of things for free, but I done major things for free that really changed the dynamics of my current scenario where I am today in my career. So yeah.
Have you said that? Do you feel like when you've been rejected, does it take a toll on your mental health like previously?
Oh yeah, of course, 110%. I feel sometimes I always, how should I say, demoralize myself in a way where I just look at it and I'm like, why was I not good enough? Did the client not appreciate me? I feel every rejection has a positive within it.
Yeah.
Somehow, somewhere, things will come to you. I remember 2018, 2017, I was in and out working with Puma. I wasn't doing much for them. It was just with artists, and I always wanted to try to speak to them about campaigns. They said to me, we didn't really see much work from you. We don't know if you're good enough for this. Now coming 2020, I meet one of the junior marketing managers for Puma now. I love what you do. Come to the office next week. Current decks we're going to show you. We've got a collaboration coming with this brand. I really want to get you involved. And for me, it just takes the fact that you have to be persistent with a lot of things. There's a quotation I follow by persistence breaks resistance. Everything that you're resisted by, whether it's rejection, whether it's emotional bystanders or something that has been negative towards you, whether it's negative energy from people or people that are trying to, how should I say, see your downfall, remember there's always a way to be persistent and breaking those resistance through those barriers. And the more persistent you are, the more resistant you are towards negative energy and these commotions that happen. So I believe in a theory where you just keep persistent, keep flowing through, keep striving, understand the journey and see where your pros and cons are and learn from your mistakes.
Two more questions. One from KCC. Will you do taster sessions we can get involved in, like shadow you?
That's a very good question. I think, yeah, I'm looking into that next year actually. So I think keep an eye on that. So I think now it was just a year of really just finding the right interns and really just taking some people to like my sets, really just changing the dynamics of things and really just getting them a real life understanding of what the world is about within the photography industry. But yeah, I'm more than happy to do that. I mean, you guys as well. I don't know if you guys know, but I use an app called Clubhouse. It's an amazing app to network and really meet new people all around the world. I'm actually doing different rooms based on connecting the dots with photographers. We have worldwide photographers all around the world that give you their expert opinions about using cameras, how to use lighting correctly, how to deal with clients, understanding fees and usages. I will recommend every single one of you. Obviously, depends on if you're a social media person. Download it. If you got iPhone as well, please download it. I can get people to send you links, invite links to access the app. I can even send you some access links as well to access the app. So I would recommend how to use it. Just don't go to those rooms where it's just mad and crazy. Just go to the rooms that really benefit you, because I'm telling you now, there's a lot of photography club rooms that are just so sick, and I think it's just amazing.
We have a couple more that's just bounced into the chat group. How do you explore and represent your culture in photography?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it comes down to the fact that I am the culture itself. I am the provider for the culture. I am the cultivator for the culture. That's how I see it. Because people look at my work and they see who I'm working with. They see the life-changing moments that I take with photos and even define sincerity, how should I say, define scenarios that really change the mindset of what the culture is about. And I think photography has really eclipsed that throughout the years, especially my photos have really given moments that have been seen for years where artists have truly had a spectacular moment, or they've had an amazing time in a specific place, tour whatsoever, and really now has been a positive change towards their journey now. So yeah.
Thank you.
What do you like the least about your current lifestyle?
Oh wow, what do I not like? I think the fact that being honest with myself at times. I feel like I'm very humble about my work. I don't really big myself up. I think that's me being truthfully straight to the point. Like people say, "Oh my God, your work is so amazing." I'm like, I'm alright. I'm not that good. Like I'm just still learning. Like, I'm very humble to the point where I don't really big up my accolades too much and my achievements, because I feel like there's more to what I can achieve. And I think that's for everyone, no matter how big you are, no matter how small you are, where you started, if you started from the bottom or if you started at the top or whatsoever. I feel every person's story has something to say about who they are. And I feel with me, I still don't see the best in my work just yet. I feel there's more to come with it, and really to define those responsibilities on that notice. So yeah.
French demeanor style says big yourself up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's love. All right, so I'm good. But yeah.
More than all right.
We have another question. I want to get more experience taking more portrait photos, but not having that many models around me. Would it be better to find more people by networking?
Yeah, so as I said, you can use LinkedIn. Is amazing. Please use LinkedIn. Like honestly, LinkedIn, as I said, is amazing. As a Clubhouse is another app that's just been made by these Americans that are just blowing up the internet. I've met, oh my God, if I tell you who I've met, it's absolutely crazy. I've met 2 representatives from Rock Nation that I had phone calls with. One that works in the UK team that was actually one of the main people that actually had the deals done with the football clubs in the UK, like the Leeds Uniteds, even the footballer like the Marcus Rashfords, the Kevin Phillips. I met someone who represents that UK side, and I met even someone from the US. I met someone from Atlantic Records who's a digital content designer for them in the US. I met so much people. I met French Montana's manager, like so much people I met in 5 to 6 days. Absolutely insane. Even photographers worldwide. I even met photographers I look up to from the States. And I was in the same conversation with them. I'm thinking, how am I here with them? Blah, blah, blah. And it's just absolutely insane. I think Clubhouse is another one that you can really network with. LinkedIn is more professional, of course, because it really shows your professional biography as well of who you are. And you get to meet people straight away, simultaneously and instantly. Even Twitter, like you'll find out on mutual friends, Twitter does take you to other people's mutual friends, and you can find people from labels and that very easy. Even out of that, take photos of random people on the streets. So yeah.
We posted the Clubhouse link in the chat room.
Yeah. So just remember, guys, if you're there to join it, find someone who's already got an account and get an invite in for them, or even find out and just speak to me as well. Obviously, some people here have Clubhouse as well, so feel free to hit them up. They can send you an invite link. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
See you in a sec.